Welcome back to Starfield Overexplained Outpost Guide Part 2. In case you missed it, our first video was all about laying the foundation, from choosing the right systems and planets to establishing your inaugural outpost. We demonstrated the world of cargo links to ensure that resources flow seamlessly between your outposts. But now we're stepping into the future of your outpost empire. In this video, we're going to unveil a collection of tips that span from enhancing your outpost's capabilities to optimizing resource management and much more. Stay tuned for an over-explained guide of improving 2 of my main interstellar cargo links. We'll ensure that your resources flow exactly how you want, and we'll reveal how to turn surplus raw material into valuable manufactured goods. Our first tip for enhancing your outpost is to maximize resource harvesting. With the botany skill, I can gather valuable resources from planets' plant life in my greenhouse. This is critical to obtaining fibers, sealant, and other crafting essentials. A quick tangent here is you could go zoologist as well and harvest the wildlife. To demonstrate this tip, I'm on the Mufford VB outpost, trying to set down a greenhouse, but we need some more reactive gauges. I head to the industrial workbench and craft some reactive gauges. Before putting down another greenhouse, it's usually a good idea to build some of the extra crafting tables as well. For example, I'm setting down the pharmaceutical lab. A lot of the resources in this crafting table call for organic resources, like sealant, fibers, or structural materials that you get from plants. Let's look over some of the recipes and see what resources overlap on this planet. I know we're already crafting sealant here, so I'll be looking for recipes that use that. Bandages looks like a good option, fiber and sealant, along with immobilizer, which takes sealant and structural resources. Now that we have an idea of what medical supplies we can craft, let's go ahead and set down a greenhouse and see the different resources that we can harvest. Set down the greenhouse, and then you can see we need some additional power. So let's go ahead and put down another wind turbine. And now we'll have to connect our water vapor to the greenhouse that we just built. And then connect the greenhouse to our cargo link. Now, heading over to the greenhouse, we can change what resource it's producing. In this first one, we're producing sealant. Let's change that to structural material. One thing to note here is we can produce sealant, structural material, and toxins. Toxins would have the highest selling price. Leaving the first greenhouse set to structural, we can see the second greenhouse is producing sealant. If you recall, these were the 2 resources needed to make immobilizers. And if we do the math quickly, 1 sealant and 1 structural material made into an immobilizer could be sold for 50 credits. While the raw resource of sealant is 6 credits and the structural resource is 7. Basically, we turn 13 credits of raw resources into 50 credits of medical supplies. Now, to just drive this point home, let's head to Mufford 4, my other outpost. This planet has different flora and fauna, so let's see what resources the greenhouse can produce here. Let's set down our greenhouse, build a water vapor extractor, then we'll go ahead, connect the water vapor extractor to the greenhouse, then connect the greenhouse to the cargo link. Now let's head over to the greenhouse and see what resources we can produce. Fiber is a very common resource used in crafting. This is perfect. If you recall, fiber and sealant can be used to make bandages. So, with sealant from my one outpost and fiber from this one flowing to my main distribution center, I'll now be able to craft bandages. One thing to note here is this is a manual crafting recipe. You can't put this into a simple fabricator. While here, I also want to set up a small storage area that is exclusive to this outpost. To start, let's put down an iron extractor and another aluminum extractor. Next, we can put some solid storage next to our greenhouse, along with a liquid storage. Connect one of the iron extractors to the storage, and the aluminum extractor as well. Then connect the water vapor to the liquid storage. By having these two storage containers not connected to our cargo link, these resources stored here will be exclusive to this outpost. And as you can see, we're in desperate need for some power. Let's go ahead and put down a fuel generator, which uses helium. We can see our current cargo link is not pulling in any resources. So let's head back to our main distribution center and make sure that we have resources flowing to that cargo link. We have quite a bit of excess resources, so while we're here, we might as well drop down some other extractors, like this chlorine extractor, which we hook up to our intersystem cargo link, and we might as well go ahead and put down another helium extractor and some wind turbines, just to make sure that we can continue expanding this outpost when needed. Now that we have multiple helium extractors set up, let's go ahead and connect them to our different cargo links. I also want to make sure that my intersystem cargo link is constantly running, so let's make another connection there. Now heading to our cargo links, our Muffred VB outpost will be receiving helium and chlorine, and heading over to our other one, we can now see Muffred 4 will be receiving helium as well. Once resources start flowing to Muffred 4, the power generator that we placed down earlier will kick on, and we'll have a flow of helium from our distribution center to our two outposts in the system. If you're following our journey, you know that in our first video, we dived deep into the art of outpost settlement. We explored the intricacies of picking the perfect location, settling your first outpost, and even mastering the art of cargo links and intersystem connections. On our intersystem connection, we can see the ingoing and outgoing resources. Heading over to the incoming resources, I noticed that our storage container is basically full. What we can do here is either set up more storage options or start using this raw material. This brings us to our second tip. Consider setting up simple fabricators if you have extra resources. These turn raw materials into valuable manufactured items for crafting or selling. I have plenty of aluminum and nickel in my main distribution center, so I'll start producing mag pressure tanks. These are essential for enhancing your spacesuits. We can see I also have aluminum and copper. I can use this to make reactive gauges. Let's start by setting up this easy to understand fabricator. The surplus of resources is located in my intersystem cargo link. Have the resources flow from there to a storage container. Connect that storage container to the fabricator and the fabricator to a warehouse. This will allow the raw resources to flow in from the intersystem cargo link to your storage, then get turned into manufactured goods and go into your warehouse. From there, I connect my warehouse to all of my cargo links, including the interstellar. Now, these manufactured goods will start showing up at all of my outpost locations. Now, that was a high-level overview of the process, but let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's establish the different connections that I was talking about, first with the intersystem connection to the solid storage area. We'll have resources flow here, then connect it to your fabricators, and then connect your fabricators to the warehouse. Now if we make our way to the warehouse, we can see that the manufactured goods are starting to flow. And going to the intersystem cargo link, some of the resources are being freed up from the storage container. Depending on how you want your resources to flow after this, you can connect your warehouse to whatever cargo link you'd like. To really drive this point home, let's head to another cargo link. Here we have a lot of iron and aluminum being stored. Let's look at the simple fabricators and see which one use these raw materials. We could start producing adaptive frames. Let's go ahead and put down the simple fabricator here, and then let's go to the cargo link, connect it to the simple fabricator, and then connect the simple fabricator to the warehouse. Now we'll start producing adaptive frames out of the bonus resources we had previously unused. Now changing our focus to resource gathering. Not all the resources you need are going to be produced by your outpost. For example, we're trying to build the landing pad with shipbuilder, but need beryllium. When searching for specific resources, check the different planets. Once you find a planet that has a resource, pick a landing location and scan for nearby caves. This can be a game changer as caves provide an abundance of resources in one single location, saving you hours of surface exploration. That being said, as you head to it, you should continue to mine the resources available along the way. Some tips for exploring the cave is enter your scanner mode so the resources are highlighted. In addition, you can turn on your flashlight, especially if there's no light sources within the cave. Each cave is different. You can find caves that have already been explored, abandoned caves, or caves like this that looks like no humans have been there before. Now, one of the main resources we were looking for was beryllium. Now let's see all the resources that we collect within this one cave. So far we've seen 2 beryllium, chorosalines. My first time coming along one of these, I had my cutter out and was trying to mine it for a good minute before I realized. And look at this wide array of resources. Helium, beryllium, and nickel, all within the same area. And while in caves, make sure you keep an eye out for rock piles, dung piles, or any resources people might have left behind. Look at all the resources we found in this rock pile. And one last beryllium. That should give us enough resources to be able to head back and start looking at the landing pad with shipbuilder. Let's head back to Muffred VD. This is my main distribution center. So all of my resources from all the outposts in the system flow to the centralized location. Before putting my landing pad down, what I usually like to do is check the extractors to make sure that the raw resource is not located under where I'm going to build this large structure. This takes me into the next tip. Tip 5 is all about convenience. Build a landing pad with shipbuilder at your outpost to have easy access to your ship, crew, cargo, and ship improvements. You'll thank me later. Typically in your outpost, your ship will be parked rather far away. This is hard to manually carry over resources to it, but the shipbuilder adds that convenience factor and allows you to easily move over unneeded resources. It's also really cool how you can improve ship components directly here. If you'd like a full guide on this shipbuilding aspect of the game, make sure you leave a comment down below. Let's now head to Muffred 4. At this outpost, we can see our incoming cargo link is starting to fill up. Let's now change our focus to storage and resource management. Because the incoming cargo link is full, we're not able to pull in the helium needed to power this generator. So let's go ahead and set up some additional storage area so that we can have resources flowing into this cargo link. Here's a tip about storage containers and how versatile they are. You're able to link them together to create bulk storage, or you can make them separate to have an inflow and outflow for your outpost. Here's another little tip. If you have an extractor, you can connect that to a storage unit. If you don't connect that storage unit to anything else, you'll have a guaranteed amount of that resource in your outpost. And here's another handy tip. You can also delete connections by pressing the R key. Now let's put these tips to the test. Now let's go ahead and drop some storage down next to the cargo link. For those of you that don't know, if you drop 2 storage units down, select what they link to and link them to each other, what that will do is create a bulk storage unit. So let's go ahead and set the cargo link to link to the storage unit, and then the first storage unit to link with the other one. Now we have bulk storage coming off of our cargo link. Heading over here, you can already see resources are starting to flow. 55 sealant, and we can go ahead and drop some of our inventory off here as well. So hopefully now that the storage area is a little bit freed up, we should see helium start to flow into this outpost, and then eventually power the generator. While we wait for our next cargo shipment, let's go ahead and explore the outpost a little bit more. The first storage area we checked out is where all the extractor resources head to and then head to the cargo outpost. This storage unit is currently empty. Heading up the hill a little bit towards the greenhouse, we can see this storage unit is the one that is full of iron and aluminum. This storage area is native to this outpost, so this iron and aluminum is not going to be flowing to any other outpost. This is usually good practice, especially with iron and aluminum, which are commonly used in making adaptive frames. So it's always good to have a little bit of a stockpile of these important resources at any of your outposts. In this video, we learned the different tips and tricks for outpost design. In our next video, we'll have it structured a little bit differently and cover the enhancements to my distribution centers.